From the bright smiles of the Disney Channel to the unflinching, coal-rimmed stare of a gothic icon, Jenna Ortega's rise is one of Hollywood's most fascinating stories. But this isn't just about a successful career. It's a masterclass in how to win, not by fitting in, but by daring to stand out. This is the story of how Jenna Ortega built an empire by embracing her authentic, unconventional self. Even in her earliest interviews, before she had a breakout role, there was something different about her. She spoke with a grounded self-awareness, never reciting canned answers or forcing a persona. It was clear she wasn't just chasing fame. She understood the price of her dream and was ready to pay it. Before the cameras and the global fame, Jenna Ortega was a driven kid from California's Coachella Valley. Born to a mother who works as an ER nurse and a father who has worked in law enforcement, Hollywood wasn't in her blood, but a fierce work ethic definitely was. She was the fourth of 6 siblings in a large family of Mexican and Puerto Rican heritage. This vibrant and supportive environment would become the bedrock of her entire career. From a young age, Ortega was just different. While other kids were playing outside, she was inside, completely captivated by movies.
But the Emperor of China had 1,000.
After watching the thriller Man on Fire, she was mesmerized by Dakota Fanning's performance.
Like nowadays.
The idea that an actor could make an audience feel such intense emotions lit a fire in her. It was a moment of revelation. She didn't just want to watch movies, she wanted to be the one on screen, making people feel something. This wasn't a passing phase. Around the age of 9, she convinced her parents to let her pursue acting. Her mother, despite her fears about the industry, began making the grueling 6-hour round trip from their home to Los Angeles for auditions. It was a huge sacrifice of time and money, and Ortega felt the weight of it. That pressure instilled in her a relentless drive to succeed. She later admitted, "It was the guilt of, okay, well, if this doesn't work out, I'm screwed, I guess. I just put my entire family through this because that's a lot of money and time that we did not have." Those long drives to LA weren't just road trips. They were lessons in sacrifice. For her mother, it meant clocking out of long, exhausting ER shifts only to spend hours behind the wheel. For Jenna, it meant knowing that every audition carried the hopes of her entire family. Every no stung not just as rejection, but as a reminder of how much they were risking for her dream. That combination of love, pressure, and responsibility would shape her resilience in a way few children experience. Her early years were a grind. She landed a tiny, uncredited role as the vice president's daughter in Iron Man 3 and a brief appearance in the horror sequel, a gig that eerily foreshadowed her future. She played young Jane in the acclaimed series Jane the Virgin, where critics noted she delivered a performance with surprising maturity. But her big break, the one that would put her on the map, was just around the corner, and it came with a mouse-eared logo. For many child actors, early bit parts fade into obscurity, but for Jenna, each role was a stepping stone. Iron Man 3 gave her a glimpse into the high-pressure, big-budget side of filmmaking. Insidious introduced her to the horror genre that would later become her signature. And Jane the Virgin served as her true calling card. A small role, yes, but performed with such authenticity that casting directors and critics alike began to take notice. She wasn't in Hollywood to see what happens. She was in it to stay. In 2016, Jenna Ortega became the star of the Disney Channel sitcom Stuck in the Middle. She played Harley Diaz, a brilliant young inventor navigating the chaos of being the middle child in a family of 7. On the surface, it was a dream come true. The role made her a recognizable face to millions, and even won her an Emmy Award in 2018. She was officially a Disney kid. But behind the bright lights and laugh tracks, the reality was anything but a fairy tale. Ortega has described the experience as brutally demanding, with crazy hours, shooting multiple episodes a week. It was an intensely adult environment that forced her to grow up fast. For a young actor, Disney is both a blessing and a test. The network has launched countless careers, from Selena Gomez to Zendaya, but it also has a way of shaping its stars into a very specific, market-friendly image. Stuck in the Middle brought Jenna mainstream attention, but it also placed her under a microscope, where every smile, outfit, and line delivery had to align with the Disney brand. The Disney machine is built on a very specific image, one of perfection, cheerfulness, and relentless positivity. For an artist already drawn to darker, more complex themes, this created a serious internal conflict. The role of Harley Diaz, while fun, was a box. As she grew older, the walls of that box began to feel smaller and smaller. Ortega found herself in a common but terrifying Hollywood purgatory. Casting directors saw her as just a Disney girl. She has spoken about the frustration of this period, saying she seriously considered quitting acting because she felt stuck, confessing she was too old for the young roles and too young for the older roles. This wasn't just career limbo, it was identity limbo. The transition from child star to adult actor has ended more careers than it's saved. Hollywood tends to pigeonhole its Disney alumni, and those who try to break free often face skepticism from both audiences and casting agents. For Jenna, this was the moment to decide whether she would fade into the background or reinvent herself entirely. Hollywood had a plan for her, the cheerful, smiling former child star. But Jenna Ortega had a different plan for herself. She was ready to prove that her time in the machine wasn't the definition of her career. It was just the prelude. Refusing to be typecast, Ortega made a series of deliberate, bold choices to shatter the Disney mold. She didn't just dip her toe into more mature projects. She dove headfirst into the deep end. Her first major move was joining the cast of Netflix's psychological thriller, You. Playing Ellie Alves, a sharp, street-smart teen, was a complete 180 from the wholesome world of Harley Diaz. The role was morally gray and let her show a darker, more cynical side of her acting range. This was the beginning of her strategic pivot. Ortega actively sought roles that challenged her and defied expectations, finding a home in the horror genre, a space she has described as therapeutic. Horror may seem like a surprising choice for a former Disney star, but for Jenna it made perfect sense. The genre rewards intensity, vulnerability, and authenticity, qualities she'd been honing since childhood. Unlike the polished world of sitcoms, horror demands that actors strip away artifice and live fully in their characters' fear, pain, and resilience. In 2021, her stunning performance in the independent drama The Fallout premiered, with a wider release in 2022. She played a high school student navigating the emotional aftermath of a school tragedy, a role that was raw, vulnerable, and deeply authentic, earning her widespread critical acclaim. That same year, she solidified her reign as a modern scream queen, with roles in 2 major horror films. Then, she joined the iconic Scream franchise as Tara Carpenter, a role for which she would later win an MTV Movie and TV Award for Most Frightened Performance for Scream 6. With each role, she sent a clear message. She would not be defined by her past. She was building a career on her own terms, choosing projects that resonated with her as an artist. This calculated journey was risky, but it was also a testament to her commitment to her own identity. And it was all leading to the one role that would feel less like a performance and more like a perfect, unapologetic reflection of her true self. When Tim Burton's Wednesday was announced, casting its lead was everything. The character of Wednesday Addams is an icon of glorious gloom, a figure who finds power in being an outsider. To get it right, they needed more than an actress. They needed someone who understood that spirit in her bones. They needed Jenna Ortega. Director Tim Burton saw in her an ability to convey a world of emotion with just a stare. For Ortega, this wasn't just another job. It was a chance to fully merge her public persona with her artistic identity. She was initially hesitant, fearing another TV series would box her in again. But the chance to redefine such an iconic character was too powerful to resist. Her dedication to the role was absolute. But more importantly, she wasn't just a passive player. She became a fierce protector of the character's integrity. She famously spoke about changing lines in the script that she felt were untrue to Wednesday, arguing that the character would never say something frivolous about a dress. The success of Wednesday launched Ortega into a new stratosphere of stardom, and she used that platform to amplify her influence. For season 2, she became an executive producer, a move she called a natural progression. She became deeply involved in scripts and character arcs, ensuring the show would lean more into its horror elements and away from the teen romance tropes of the first season, which she had publicly criticized as feeling out of place. She was no longer just the face of the show, she was one of its key architects. Jenna Ortega's journey is more than a Hollywood success story. It's a blueprint for anyone who has ever felt like an outsider. In an industry that demands conformity, she has carved a path that is entirely her own. She navigated the grueling world of child acting, survived the Disney machine, and emerged not just unscathed, but stronger and more certain of who she is. She chose dark and complex roles when safer parts were available. She has been outspoken about industry pressures and the importance of genuine integrity. In her own words, "I don't want to belong to anyone or anything." This fierce independence is the engine behind her empire. From a 9-year-old girl with a dream to a global icon and producer, Jenna Ortega has proven that authenticity isn't an obstacle to success. It's the source of it. She didn't win by changing who she was to fit the world. She won by forcing the world to make room for her, unapologetically and entirely on her own terms. Her story is a masterclass, not just in acting, but in the radical power of being yourself.